You are fake news.
That's why I managed to stay single this whole time, you know?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Here we go. All right, so this is it. This is episode 41. Episode 41, and we already have a bunch of people on here, a bunch of people checking it out. Y'all have been waiting for this. I've actually gotten, throughout the week, so many people saying that they couldn't wait for today because they know what's about to go down. For all of you people that don't know what's about to go down, first let me just say, I'm Rashel Rene Farmer, yours truly, your favorite, Clovis, California, 601 West Shaw, High Sierra Tattoo Co.com. That's us. We are tattoo artists in this wonderful town of Clovis, and you guys all know me. And those that don't know me, that you are just visiting for the first time, this is Q&A. That's what we do here. This Q&A is me saying, ask me anything. You guys jump on, you do so. But this time, again, we have a special guest I'll introduce here in a moment. But in the meantime, I'll say hello to some of you regulars. That's a good thing to have regulars. We got Brody, of course. Nonetheless, we got Ian on here. Ashley, what's up, Ashley? That was a premature hand clap. I apologize, but it worked. Kimmy, what's up? Christy, hello, everybody. Mom's on here. What is up, Mother? Also known as Susan. That's how you guys know her. This is really cool. Mom already knows who's coming up. So, yep, episode 41 for sure. Ian is saying this is the most anticipated stream. My streams, where is that coming? I'm going to move this comment area because that's a little strange to have it right there in the middle of the stream. Dambria, what's up? Thank you guys for being on here. By the way, Dambria, thanks for asking so many good questions for this time, for this episode. We will get to those, so stay tuned, of course. Mom said, I'm like your stalker. Mom, you're definitely not my stalker. You're my mom. So, yes, direct access at all times. Yes, Ian, thank you for giving away the secrets, but that's cool. Brody Jed said it best. Brody Jed.
Give me your fucking money!
She's saying it right, and it's bring cash. So that's it. That's our motto. It really doesn't stick around as much anymore, but you see, you guys are trained, so you know our motto is bring cash. People ask a lot of questions on this Q&A, this stream, and the number one question is, how do I get an appointment? The next one would be, how do I get a hold of somebody? Or the next one would be, do you do walk-ins? Like, those comments come all the time. And the truth is, if you just come in and bring cash, you're probably gonna get an appointment or tattoos. Just saying. So you guys, everybody on here, thanks for being here. Again, episode 41, this is pretty cool. I got quite a few responses from you guys online. Some of them very specific, some of them directed towards me, and some directed to our special guest of the evening. If I do get interrupted during the stream, it's not inappropriate. It's because somebody is here rock and rolling, cleaning, and if she has to ask questions, you might hear that in the background. The floor is actually super clean. It's actually... You guys hear that shit? That's right. That's awesome. Lele. That's badass.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that sound.
I
You
think
did
I'm
it.
just about done.
Cool. Whenever you're ready to leave, if you just shut the door, it should be fine. You don't have to worry about locking it.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Lele. Ian's saying it right. Bring cash over 1,000. Yeah, if we could just show them your sleeve, they would know exactly why you say that. This dude's... We're like 75% done with you, Ian. This is great. We got to get you back in here. Amanda's on here saying hello, and she's saying hello, everyone. Stopping to show the love and say hi, barbecuing, so we'll be in and out. Hope all is well. Yes, that's awesome. Okay, guys, so this being episode 41, and it's a Q&A official, we are going to bring on a special guest who is highly anticipated. Everybody's super excited to see her, meet her for the first time. Before I bring her on, I would like to say just one. I'm not even warning or prepping, or I'm not necessarily saying you guys should or shouldn't say or ask certain things, but this is a Q&A, so feel free to ask. If it's a question we don't want to answer, we don't have to. But she is my sister, so I mean, one day my mother will be on here. I swear, I would love to have her on here. But just be, I don't know what the word is. Tread lightly, okay, guys? She knows some stuff about me, so just tread lightly. That's all. All right, let's see here. No, spicy for sure. So Rochelle's in the comment section too. Rochelle's in the comment section saying not so spicy. You know what? I say bring the spice.
That's what she said.
I'm down. I think bring the spice tonight. You guys feel free to be yourselves, of course. Just the questions is all. That's all I'm saying. Every once in a while, if you guys are getting gutsy, I probably shouldn't even say this. I feel like I'm like coaching you on what to ask, but just be cool, man. It's my sister. I'm going to introduce her now. You guys are going to get to know her better than just being in the comment section. This is my awesome, wonderful, talented, beautiful sister, Rashel Rene, and we're bringing her on now so you guys can say hello. What's up, Rashel?
Hi.
All right. So now they can hear you, they can see you, they can meet you in real life. It's not just comments. So everybody do the right thing and say hello. Let us know, you guys, where you're calling from, where you're watching from. And Rachel's on here. So what's up now? Dad's on here. He's saying hello. What's up, Dad? This is really cool. Rashel, now you get to respond to Mom and Dad from this end.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to read this. The comments are so small.
Yeah, it might be a little
I
bit
might
small.
have to read over here.
Yeah, if you put the iPad or I don't know if you could put it in front of you or your phone or something, but it might be a little easier. Mom just gave us a comment. I don't know what it means. Hand, pink, waving. Let's see here. Oh, maybe it's maybe that was supposed to be an emoji. So yeah, what's up, Rashel? How are you this evening?
I am good. I have a little bit of half decaf, half regular coffee because you're a long one.
That's kind of funny.
Long-winded.
I don't have a coffee cup, but I have a lens, so I can act like I have a coffee cup. We can match. So cheers.
Cheers.
This is awesome. It's actually really exciting. If you guys didn't know, the reason why she most likely has that coffee cup is because she is a photographer. Let's start out that way. So we're going to get into it and we're going to talk, obviously, and get into the Q&A, but let's do a quick little introduction. So other than you being my sister, why don't you tell everybody about you and some of the things you're into other than being obviously a wonderful person?
Well, I'm a mom. I'm the best sister. Sorry, sisters.
Sisters, lots of sisters.
What's that?
I was just saying, lots of sisters, all the sisters. Sorry, sisters. They do watch.
All
Katie
my
and Amanda
sisters.
actually watch time to time.
I'm a photographer. I work on the weekends at a cafe. I love it. I'm a mom. That's the best part of it. So,
And you're currently up north. You're in Oregon. So
yeah.
You've been there for quite some time, and that's where you do your photography. I mean, it's like the Portland area.
Right.
And it's mostly family photography, or is there other stuff that you're into as well?
I just did a wedding last month. I like seniors, family,
That kind of stuff.
things like that. Yeah.
I remember one of the last times, well, actually probably the only time I've ever been on a photo shoot with you was when we did that video for your website.
Yeah.
So
That was cool.
Actually, people can see your work too on your website. I always forget the name because it's not Rashel Rene. It's
Right.
What is the website's name?
Excuse me. Copy. Scarlet Gray Photography.
That's right.
Named
Scarlet
after
Gray.
Scarlett and Grayson.
Awesome. So yeah, if you guys go to scarletgrayphotography.com, you can see her work. You can also, if you're in the Pacific Northwest ever or would like to book something with her, that's how you do it. You can see her work there as well. I think I looked at your gallery one time. It has a lot of our family, so that's like really cool. Let's see here. Dad saying, hello, Rashel.
Hello.
We have a good comment on here, actually. Kimmy, we're kind of going at it at the moment, but she's saying, tell us about your business in Oregon. So why don't you just fill people in a little bit, like the stuff you do, the stuff you love, and your kind of your background on it. Like what's your history in terms of the business that you conduct?
Well, I started in a portrait studio when I was like 19, became a manager of the studio, and I wasn't really, I didn't really get to use my creativity too much in that kind of setting. But once I wasn't working there anymore and I got my hands on a camera, it was like, oh my gosh, I can actually create art versus just it's already set, So that was really cool. And so I started just messing around and doing a lot of friends and family, and then just started taking it seriously in about 2018, which is way different than just taking portraits. The business side of things is always
That was like a J.C. Penney kind of situation, you said?
Yeah,
Like where
and
the
Sears.
family? Oh, Sears, that's right. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I would imagine that's not super exciting, but you learn a lot, at least the kind of some
yeah.
of the
Well, I was
fundamentals.
19 too, so it was like, oh, this is kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And so now, like, what does it look like with your photography? Are you like trying to push? Because you mentioned weddings. Are you trying to do more of that, or is this something you're doing just because people are asking?
you know, I've jumped around so much. I, for a moment, thought, oh, I want to do newborns.
Mm.
Uh, no,
And then you did a couple.
well, you know, I did a couple, and it was like, I mean, you got to wait, and then they poop on everything and they pee on everything, and you got to clean up a little bit because, you know, taking pictures in a diaper or clothing isn't, you know, the best. So you got to kind of pose them, see their little bum, and then, so
Right.
yeah, that was interesting. And it could take like 4 hours, and you work on the baby's time. So I was like, maybe that's not really it. So I've
Interesting.
bounced around with different things. I really like boudoir, but I haven't really done a whole lot of that. So I definitely want to dive more into that in the future. But weddings, that's another one that, you know, I'm diving into, and it's a lot of work, that one too.
Yeah, that's
It's,
so.
I mean, you get one shot, man. You can't reschedule that one. So you
So let
better
me.
have backups of backups.
I'm going to ask you a question about your photography. Um, what? Let's see here. See if we get this mic a little hotter. Cheryl, am I coming in clear too?
Yeah.
Okay. There is about a 2 or 3 second delay before our conversation, so I'll do my best to like pause and stuff when you're talking and not necessarily. I won't be interrupting on purpose. It's just the delay. It might seem like I am on your end.
Right.
Okay, so if there was something you could do, I actually love this question. I ask this to most of my clients and a lot of people I work with, whether it's tattooing or anything else, even in videography and stuff, is what if you could be doing any version of your photography business, and there's anything you could do, like for me, it would be really easy. I would just go outdoors and shoot scenery or wildlife. I love being just in the woods, even not necessarily animals. I would
Yeah.
spend all day doing that if people paid me enough money to do it, but nobody is paying me to do that. So what is that thing for you? Like, what is the aspect of photography that you just are driven to the most?
You know, honestly, I like when it's just one model, one person. So perhaps that then looks like senior portraits, you know, um, or boudoir.
Right.
But I feel like I can just be more creative, and you're not wrangling people. And don't get me wrong, family photography is really important to me, but there's just something different when it's just you and one other person, and you make them comfortable, and you know they feel good in front of the camera, and they're not worried about what their kid is doing, or if their husband's still happy and still, you know, with it. So
A little more
I think
freedom.
yeah, and then I can focus more on the artistic side of it, you know.
Yeah, I totally understand that. That's the same way I am with tattooing, where if I'm doing 5, 6, 7 tattoos a day, which isn't uncommon for a tattoo artist to do walk-ins at that rate, and I find myself, it's not that it's difficult, it's just very unsatisfying to me because I want to go deep into one thing, and I want, like Ian is always on here. Ian's always watching and he's always commenting, and his sleeve, he'll come in. I've never tattooed, I believe. I believe I've never tattooed somebody else while he was here for the whole day. It's just us. He comes early. We take our time. We make awesome designs. We really pour our heart and soul into the day to make the appointment as good as possible and the art as good as possible. I really don't like being distracted. Even knowing that another appointment may be coming up, it's very difficult. Just because that's always on my mind, as opposed to just going deep on this one thing. So that's kind of sounds like what you're talking about too.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a bunch of people on here. Let's see here. Somebody asked me to
I
turn
like
up
how
my
mom
mic.
says you both look so grown up.
I know that was actually that's pretty funny, actually.
Well,
Thank
mom, we are grown.
Yeah, we're definitely not little kids anymore. That's for sure. Although often I still feel like a child. Um, and even when I think about all my sisters, I still think of all of us like kids, which we will be getting into some of those details really quickly, because there's some questions you guys asked and they will absolutely invoke some of those stories. So sure, you guys are excited about that. So now that you know a little bit about Rashel and how amazing and awesome she is, and actually, I'm going to ask you this, Rashel, before we go into the comments, because this is one of my favorite topics to kind of bring up, even with like fellow artists and stuff around me. Would you say that photography is artistic, creative, expressive, or if it's like a job, if it's a tool, if it's like, how would you describe it for you? Like, what is it for you?
Oh man, it is it's art, you know. I like to go into every situation when I have my camera and create art. That's why I don't actually bring my camera with me everywhere like people might want me to or think that I should. And it's like, no, because I want to enjoy this experience being there versus focusing on creating art. Because although I love creating art, it kind of takes away from me actually, you know, being present in whatever we're doing. But yeah, so it's art for me. I mean, I couldn't draw like my brother, so had to be an artist somehow.
Yeah, but you've always been, and I actually think that this is something strong in our family to a high level is design, and aesthetics, and let's say like our environment matters a lot to us, and the way it looks, the way it feels. I mean, that's obvious with mom, and dad,
Yeah.
obviously being a carpenter and building things, making things. Our grandparents, from being singers and painters to construction workers. There's always this creative sort of element to all the things that we all kind of get into. And I think you can see it from the home, walking into your house, walking into grandma's house, mom's house. Shouldn't call her grandma. I call her grandma all the time because with the kids, you're referring to her always that way.
Yeah.
So you can like see it that it's like in our DNA. Actually, I think somebody just mentioned, I'm trying to stay up on the comments. Let's see here. Design. Go. There we go. Kimmy is saying the creativity in your family is just amazing. And I actually do think it's really cool. Like even Bubba, well, Auntie Bubba, that's again what I call her to the children. My other sister Megan also was into photography for a while and doing videos and stuff. What she kind of gave up on that, or was that something she just was kind of messing around with? Do you know anything about
You
that?
know, I think she was messing around with it. I think she was on her fitness journey, so she was wanting to capture that.
Oh, okay. I think that's what I
She
saw on
still she
YouTube.
looks good. So I don't know what she's doing with her fitness journey, but she looks good.
Maybe that's what it is. She got there and said, "Okay, well, nothing to document. I'm here." So
Yeah.
she's rocking and rolling. Ian's on here asking a good question. Rochelle, are your tattoos from your brother literally one of the best? Quotations.
Yes, not all of them, unfortunately, because he did this one on my arm. Um, it's kind of hard to see, but
Man, that was a while
I
ago.
needed it to come down, so I had to go somewhere else. Sorry, Josh.
You know what though? We're almost 1,000 miles apart, and I totally understand it.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool that pretty much everybody in my family is tattooed by me. It's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Let's see. I
Yeah,
don't want
you
to
gave
miss.
me,
Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say you gave me one, two, three, four out of my seven or eight.
Okay. It was a lot, and we started a long time ago. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to do my best, as always, you guys, to get into the comments and make sure that I don't miss some of your questions. If they don't get answered and you want to ask them again, feel free, if you don't see us getting to it. Otherwise, we apologize for not getting to them all, but we do our best. Let's see here. I want to go through these real quick and make sure I'm not losing anything. Kimmy's on here, and since Mom is also on here, Kimmy's saying, Susan, do you create art also? Question mark. I know you are great with interior design, which is very true. And then Mom responded right afterwards,
Very.
I can draw Snoopy. Yeah, that's funny. Let's see. It's funny because Mom is incredibly talented, actually. I see a lot of people that try to design, especially at home. They try to do interior design, if that's the professional word for it. But really, it's just creating a home. And Mom has like always had that aesthetic, even when she was young, for the eye for detail. And as she's grown older, she's definitely perfected it in a way that makes it definitely feel like it's not just a normal house. You don't walk in and feel like this is just, a place people live. It's beautiful.
And she teaches me a lot. I mean, growing up, we didn't have a whole lot, right? So what we did have, we really took care of.
Hmm.
And so we kind of, well, for me, I had a hard time letting go of things because it's like, oh, it's mine. I've got it, you know, why would I get rid of it? And then she started becoming really minimalist, minimal, minimalism.
Hmm.
And I'm obsessed.
It's
And
hard.
she's even come over like 15 years ago to help me purge my closets and shoes. And it's like, Mom, help me.
Yeah. No, she is good at it. Wherever that came from for her, I don't know, but it's always encouraged me to want to do the same because I'm the opposite. I'm quite the pack. I've been known to be called an organized hoarder, and it's just true. But I do my best to be the opposite. Because even Dad's
Yeah,
really good at
it's
that, like
hard.
making sure he's not, bombarded with just a bunch of
Holding on
stuff you
to,
don't need.
yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah.
Um,
It takes up too much space in life.
so Ashley says, "So is your whole family just blessed with talent?" Yeah, the answer is yes, absolutely. Actually, the answer is yes, and I had to do that. Yes, of course, they all are. We all are. They're wonderful, and you guys can all blame my parents for it. So thank you, Mother, who's on here and listening. If you guys want to thank her again, if you guys can thank her every single time, that's fine. If there's any talent we have or anything that we bring in terms of value to anybody's lives, we owe it all to our mother. So I think that's wonderful. I'm going to read Brody Jade's comment here. It says, "The balance of being in the moment and making art. It's good you take the time to be present. I see so many people just starting. Okay. I see so many people just staring through their phones instead of enjoying the moments." And then she's
Yeah.
also saying, "Susan, you should draw Snoopy and show us." I do remember her drawing Snoopy, actually.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mom says, "You're welcome."
What's funny about the staring at the phones, I went and got my oil changed the other day and walked into the waiting room and everybody was on their phone. Granted, I knew I was going to be on my phone too. I brought my headphones and everything to prepare. But I just was thinking, I'm like, man, this is so weird because how cool would it be if people in society still would like start up chatting and, just small talk and just talking about the world or life and just
Yeah,
being friendly to thy neighbor, even if you just met. It,
that's
it,
kind of a
it
thing
went
of the
through my
past.
mind and it was like, oh, so weird.
It is weird.
It's not that
It's
way.
it's a really weird time to be alive because the rate of change and things that are changing so quick that are causing these, like cell phones, internet, data, information, distractions, like at our fingertips. I mean, you could literally just watch new bits of content for the rest of your life and never catch up. It's just endless. It's endless, and
Yeah.
it's really changed. It's really changed the way that we all interact. I mean, I won't go off on this too long, but anybody who's like in the dating scene or like single or looking to have any sort of companionship in any way, whether it's good friends or romantic or whatever, man, it has just dramatically changed the way. I mean, everybody
I
does all.
couldn't even imagine.
It's just not the same world. Being in public, it's
Ugh.
like everybody wants to go home to look good in their filters so that you can see them, but just be ignored in public and like, don't look at me, don't talk to me, like don't introduce yourself, no smiles, no hi. Like you said, sitting in a waiting room, nobody's connecting whatsoever. So that's just a huge change
Yeah.
that
It was
we're.
so bizarre.
It
I
is.
mean, and I'm used to it. So why is it bizarre to me? But I
Uh,
think because deep down I wish it was different.
right. It's always nice to the way I try to see it because it's the past. That's the way it was. It's not like that anymore. It probably will never be like that again. I look at it as like when our grandparents used to say, "When I was a kid, it was this way," and they romanticize about it. I look at it as we were lucky to have experienced it that way before it was over.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
try to see it as like a
And we're
blessing.
very lucky that we didn't have sorry, there's a little delay. We're lucky that we didn't have social media in school,
I'm
in
so
high
glad.
school,
I'm actually
or
thankful
cell
knowing.
phones.
Oh, so thankful. So thankful that that
Yeah.
was not around when I was a young
Me
idiot.
too.
Um, okay, so I have to read this. Dad's on here saying, "Mom has a secret weapon. It's me. I tell what I think looks good. She does opposite, and it turns out perfect." So I'm going to read that one more time. "Mom has a secret weapon. It's me. I tell her what I think looks good. She does the opposite, and it turns out perfect."
Oh, that
That's
is
that's
hilarious.
actually
It's
really
pretty
good.
much true.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I've never done this before, but I gotta screenshot that, Dad. I'm gonna keep that forever. That's awesome. There we go. Screenshot him. Um, Landy's on here saying Susan created artists. I'll tell you what she did create. What my mom created 100% is true. Is she created a wonderful family. I mean, it's all completely. I look at it as all being owed to her. I wouldn't have my dad if it wasn't her. I wouldn't have my sisters. I wouldn't have this wonderful life and these abilities with my kids, her grandkids, and just our nieces and nephews. It's pretty fucking cool. That's really really cool.
Yeah,
Dambria
we
is
have a good
saying
family.
Dambria is saying thank you Susan and David. We must thank Dad too. Dads are important as well. 100%, absolutely. Let's see here. And then Kimmy's also agreeing. She goes, "I knew it was you, David." There's some good stuff. There's actually some good stuff on here, guys. I probably won't be able to, like I said, read it all, but thank you so much for obviously jumping in. We appreciate you. I'm reading it and just don't always have time to respond to all of it. But again, if you have a question, feel free to shoot that out there too. And
I want
Ashley's
to
go.
respond to Ashley Gonzalez.
Okay.
Uh, she's saying, does her home look like it's from a home and garden magazine? Yes. Yes.
The porch, the garden, the interior, the kitchen.
And it's my inspiration.
Yeah,
My porch looks
100%.
like crap, so, but it's getting there.
This is interesting right here. I like what Amanda's saying. Do you see that on there? The next one after Ashley's. She said,
Oh,
"Farmer, these beautiful, strong women in your life tells it all." Because people ask this, right? And I always kind of struggle with my response to it because there's so many ways to respond to this, which I don't mind doing. But people ask, like, why do you have a shop full of women? Why do you have so many girls surrounding you? Like, why? And I'm sure there's multiple reasons.
you've
Not just
always
that.
had girls surrounding you.
Yes. Well, let's say around 15, 16. Yes, that's definitely true. But I'm glad you qualified that because some people might just think I was bullshitting. But really, I didn't have any positive attention until a certain age, and after that, it was just over. But what's interesting is I actually think that it's because of the way I treat women and the women around me, and I think that the women that are on here, people that I know in my life, friends, family, coworkers, would also attest to
Yeah.
that too. I think I'm just used to living with wonderful women that I respect, that were taught to be respectful, that are. I don't want to, go down the road of saying old school and old fashioned, but definitely come from a family full of values and, respect, like deeply, like the way Dad treats Mom, the way Mom responds to him, and
Yeah.
they've treated us. It's just natural for me to be that way, and I think that's something that attracts, women to me because I'm not coming at them maybe the typical way that most of men in society are. So I think that sets a big difference. So I blame it on you, Rochelle. You blame it
Well,
on me,
and you
but it
can,
was you that brought all the girls around. So I'm just saying, I didn't bring them.
I
You
mean,
did.
this is true.
Yeah.
This is true. My friends. I'd be
Hmm.
like, can I have my friends back, please? Opening the
Yeah.
door, it smells all sweaty and gross. I'm making out with my friends.
Well, you know what? Dad should have took his
Yeah.
guitar back. I didn't even know how to play it. I just kept it in my room. Okay, let's go here. I'm going to read what Ian said. This is great. I respect Susan so much. Josh has taught me so much, has taught so much to me in the last year and a half. I'm sure Susan has something to do with that. 100%. Let's see here. Megan's on here. She's actually one of the girls that helps out here in the shop and wants to tattoo herself. She said, "OMFG, your lens mug is so cute."
Oh,
That's funny. Yeah,
I
she loves
love
it.
it.
Here's another good one. Dad's on here saying, "I love talking to people in public. The only thing is I have to filter myself. Most people are very approachable."
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess he says most people aren't very approachable, because I find that to be true. People are just they're like defensive, like they want to get into their phone so that you leave them alone. That's for sure.
You know what I love? I love being out in public and just really observing different demeanors and personalities and the way people respond, even if I'm in the grocery store. I'm happy-go-lucky. I'm obviously don't want to be grocery shopping, but I'm fortunate that I can. And so I go through the line and I'm just thinking to myself, I, what is this person thinking and feeling, because you
Hmm.
can really tell by the way that they react. And sometimes it's really sad, and sometimes it's like, yeah, this person's happy too. you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's it's definitely weird to me to I shouldn't even say weird like it's negative. It's really cool to have gone like a certain sort of like crossing over from the 80s and 90s into the 2000s and now, and kind of being right in that middle of like when we became adults is when everything really shifted digitally. In the past, just behaviors changed, human behaviors changed, and then also having a more traditional family in a sense, maybe not
Mm.
always traditional structure, but traditional in the values, and having that, and then being raised and growing up in a world that was in tandem transitioning with our own maturity into adulthood. Like I was 19 years old in 2000. I was 18. And so, right when I'm becoming an adult is right when, really, within the next 5, 6, 7 years, everything changed, and people's behavior
Yeah.
changed. We changed, like the whole world changed, almost like flipped. So anybody kind of
Yeah.
older than us, I find people older than me by 5, 10 years or more. They're still very much part of that community. Like they'll say hi in public, they'll talk to you.
Right.
They I don't know, they're just more personable. And then anybody who's
Right.
kind of grew up after that, they didn't have it, so they don't know to do it. And I think that's probably the part that's hardest for me is I think they're missing out on something I don't know that they'll ever be aware of.
Yeah.
I just don't think they will.
That's why I wanted the girls to wait a long time to get electronics and phones and social medias because I just knew once they did, it was over,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And this is a good point too. Just because these things are true for the general masses, for the majority of people, doesn't mean it has to be true for you individually at all. Like, so I
Hmm.
don't think or technology is bad for people at all. I think what's bad is when we just
Right.
throw ourselves into it. I think of it like smoking in the past. Everybody smoked by the time they were 13, 14, 15. All our grandparents, smoking was cool. It was to lose weight. It was said to have helped cure cancer. Like, it was insane. And everybody jumped in before we saw the ramifications. I think, and then now we know, like, hey, it's kind of a bad idea. Don't do it. Be smart about it. Quit if you can. I think social media will be the same thing in the coming years. I think people will see,
Right.
man, these
And
kids
it's,
raised on it. Not good.
and
It's
I've
not good.
noticed that about drinking too. Lately, I know quite a few people who don't drink anymore, and not even because, they're alcoholics, but just because, it doesn't do anything for them.
Hmm. It's another one of those social things too that a lot of people do when they're social. So, I mean, bars and stuff are still alive and well. I still hear these young kids going out and doing
Yeah.
those things that I tell them like maybe
But
isn't
they're
so smart, but
but they're coming up with sober bars. Have you heard about that?
no,
Like where they have
like meetups or
bars,
something.
same environment, but it's all non-alcoholic beverages.
Yes.
So like still a
Okay.
meeting ground.
Right.
So
This is
hopefully that does become a thing.
I got to put this on here. I actually liked what Megan said earlier about talking about in regards to women and me working with them and growing up with so many sisters and having wonderful, wonderful ladies in my life, being exposed to that since I was born. Um, Megan is saying women just like women just like places that make them feel safe, and I actually think that's incredibly true. I think that's very true. I think a lot of people are actually
Yeah.
ashamed to admit it because they feel like that means that they're not strong enough to do it on their own. And I think that that's sad because I think if that's true, then, and I believe it is, then you'd be missing out on something if you're just trying to be tough and do it on your own. And I think that's really cool that she said that. Here's a really good one. Dad said, Rochelle, I have a picture of your living room from last week. I'm saving it for blackmail purposes.
Listen, I'm doing home renovations, okay?
Okay.
That had no bearing on the way I live.
Okay. Okay. Renovations. I get it. It happens. Maybe next time he's
Yeah.
got a project on, you can go take a picture of it. You should have taken a picture of his
Oh my
backyard.
God.
Not throwing you under the bus, Dad, but backyard looks pretty bad.
I mean, my living room was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's cool.
But hey, I
Okay.
wasn't sitting there watching TV. I was getting my shit done.
Okay. So at this point, you guys are very well filled in on who my sister Rochelle is and our relationship together to a large degree. What they probably don't know is how close we are. I mean, they could probably tell it a little bit, but not even having to console on that at all with Rochelle. I know that she agrees. We've always been super tight knit. So getting into the Q&A part, which people have submitted, this is going to be fun. So thank you guys for doing so. I actually look forward to this a lot because this means a lot to me. You know, I always at the end of the day think of anytime I'm making content or media, especially YouTube and lives and doing stuff like this, family or not, I just always think of it as like a documentary, meaning I think my grandkids one day will look back at this because they can't look at my grandparents. There was no video. They don't really look at our parents because they didn't do video when they were kids. They're going to be going back and looking at the first to have partaked in this creative endeavor, and that's going to be me and you. It's going to be us. So I always think of it as like we're talking to our future selves as well as our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, whoever comes after us. They're going to look back at us. So this is really cool for me to be able to do this kind of thing because it's like a time capsule. Like when we were kids and we'd literally make time capsules, which I never went and dug any of them ever up. There's just random shit probably buried in backyards all over the country, all over the West Coast. So, but this is something you can dig up and actually find. So I think it's really cool to do this. So Rashel, again, of course, thank you for being on here and doing this with me. We should get into the questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a bunch of questions directed exactly at me. I actually think we should go over those last, depending on how long this takes. So Dambria, thank you for submitting those. But if some of them wait for next round, I think that might actually be better. So I'll go to the ones that are more directed towards both me and Rashel. So Dambria, if we don't get to them, don't be mad. We will get to them eventually. We'll see what kind of time this takes. Who knows what kind of stories are going to come out of this stuff. All right. So the Q&A. So by the way, I get it, guys. Thanks for being on here. Thanks for watching, being patient, and being loyal and faithful. 17 people watching at 41 minutes in, and we haven't gotten to a single Q&A. Well, we've answered live questions, so that's good, but we're now getting to the questions submitted online. And this is going to be a good one. Some of it maybe we've gone over before, but maybe we can go into a little deeper. First question from Facebook is, Rashel, what's your artistic outlet?
Gosh, I mean, really photography, but also I like hold on, stay over there, honey. What's up? You can't come over here though, okay?
I like what you're saying, Ian.
I
He
love
says, Josh, my sister Britt is my best friend. I totally get the
Shut
bond
the door, baby.
and appreciate the bond you two have. Yeah, Ian, your sister's hot. I'm just gonna say it. You're not allowed to say it about mine, but I'm gonna say it about yours because she lives in a different state. So Ian, thanks for reminding me.
He could say it about me.
Yeah, I guess he could. He probably would. Ian's a wonderful dude. He's actually really cool. You know what's crazy about Ian, Rashel? Obviously me and you are really close to Caleb, and so if you've met Caleb, you've met Ian. And okay, not actually exactly true. That's not true in some very specific ways, but just personality-wise, outgoingness, ease to talk to, character, like the way he's a very animated person. Him and Caleb, I swear I would have thought they were brothers. Like I had to ask him, like, hey,
Nice.
You don't happen to be related to any people with this last name, are you? Because that's how similar they are. So anyway, you would definitely love him. He's awesome.
So that question, I also, gosh, I just like to do crafty stuff too. I like to build things, unless of course it's from IKEA and it has instructions that I just want to throw across the room. But, just creating anything really. I like painting. I like singing, but I'm not very good at it. So I do that alone.
Shower time.
Yeah.
So
really, I have a lot of outlets. I can't name one really.
Let me ask you this, maybe more specific. So she's saying, what's your artistic outlet? What is it that when you're doing it is like your escape? Like it's just like you're freeing yourself. Like there's a lot of rules to a lot of things we do, like photography. There's rules, right? That you kind of have to sort of go by. People expect
you know what?
Certain things.
I just thought of it too. Hair, makeup. I do my own nails, which I won't show you now because again, home renovations have really taken a toll. Things like that. Fashion. I own maybe 30 wigs because I like to change it up, and then I don't have to do crazy hair and ruin my hair often. But things like that. I think that kind of is my escape. It's my alone time, getting myself ready. I don't do it every day because, life, but
that's
it's
cool.
a good outlet for me.
I didn't expect you to say that. I thought you were going to say something regarding like I would say like putting your home together, like does like changing a
Oh, that
room.
too. I'm telling you, I
Okay,
can't
just
choose
so many
one. That
things.
too.
Okay.
I love interior design. Right now we put in new floors and I redid my daughter's room. I redid my office. We redid the master bedroom, and I'm just like, yes, things like that just
Yeah,
make me
it's like
so happy.
refreshing. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this because I don't know that we've ever. I don't know. I actually don't know your response to this. So this will be kind of fun. I feel like I should know your response to this. Uh, Me personally, if I don't have a project, I'm not happy. If I don't have something I'm working on, then I am just in limbo of figuring out what that next thing will be. And when I do have a project, I feel great. Like I'll jump on. So sometimes it's bad because
Yeah.
I absolutely go squirrel all the time. So I have to actually like really be conscious about what I decide to partake in, any projects, because I will just get squirreled really quickly. But do you find that same thing? Like you, I have this deep level
Oh,
of
yeah.
like unsatisfaction without having a project to do.
Yeah. So there's times in life where I'm like, all right, I'm going to chill. I'm going to take a break, and life is just what it is. But I don't like mundane, and I don't like the same thing for too long. I like things to change, which luckily for us, things are always changing. But yeah, I there's always got to be something because when you stop living life, that's when life stops for you. But it doesn't really stop, you know. Life is still going to be happening, and I don't want to just sit there and not be
Yeah.
joining in on life.
Then let me ask you this a little more specific. This is one question we're getting into, but I like to, it helps me to learn about you too, as well as everybody else. What's a project you can think of that just was so fascinating and fulfilling for you? Like just stands out amongst the rest? Like something you did, or maybe it doesn't have to be a project, but something you embarked on or took part in and was just like like you were just enjoying it deeply.
Oh my gosh.
I know it's kind of a hard
Way
one.
to put me on the spot of trying
Yeah.
to think of something good, you know?
Well, while you
Uh,
think of it, if something comes to mind, I'll
yeah.
really quickly tell you what mine was. Building my van a
Okay.
couple of, not just to talk about me, but to jog your memory. I was building my van almost 2 years ago now, and I got into it and started realizing for the first time in my life, other than paper and pen when I was a kid drawing, I had a clean slate to do whatever I wanted with no rules. Nobody can tell me dimensions and what to do. It's not like a business where I have codes and standards and expectations. I can do whatever I wanted. And I remember as soon as that set in, I felt like a child. Like I just felt like my brain just it was in it was so much
Yeah.
fun. It was I canceled appointments. I did all kinds of stupid stuff just so that I could continue to just immerse. And for 3.5 months, that's pretty much all I did. And I'd work until 1 in the morning, get up at 5, go to work, do my thing, get back home and do it again. Sometimes not sleeping, and it was just so exciting.
Well, now that definitely sparked something in me. So mine was I quit drinking December 2019, and then we bought our house in February 2020. So right when the pandemic, and I started doing daily yoga for a full year. I got into healing crystals. I got into crystal singing bowls. Do you know what those are?
Like the
These things
frequency.
right here.
Yeah, I've seen
Let's
those. Those,
see. I
those
don't
are
I don't
cool.
have my thing.
Isabel actually loves that stuff.
Um, I started getting into tarot cards and um, not just tarot cards, but there's oracle cards that are way more fluffy and fun.
Hmm.
But I started doing that, and man, it was like that's what I was excited for. And I have sort of gone away from it a little bit because I started going back to work. I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years. So at the end of that, when I started going back to work, it was like, oh man, I didn't have all that time anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That.
that's unfortunate. But now that I'm only working on the weekends and doing whatever I'm doing with photography, and then of course being a mom, now after my home is done, I that is my goal. I am getting back into it because That's what really lit me up.
That's cool. It's really nice because we don't always get to just find that thing and stay in that place, that space. But when we do get to enjoy it for a little while, sometimes it's temporary and sometimes it comes back. Sometimes it's something to work forward to again so that you can get back into that space. But sometimes I just love knowing that I've had these experiences before, like describing what some of the stuff that you're into that makes you feel satisfied and fulfilled. Me working on my van and things like that. That was a very remarkable experience for me, actually, to work on that thing and turn it into what I wanted. It was quite. I mean, it wasn't just cool to have the van. It was way cooler just to work on the van and make it what I wanted. And then the other question is, like, what else is there out there waiting for me to make that I don't realize yet is going to be that thing for me? That's going to be that sort of, it's almost transcending. I know it sounds silly to say I worked on a van and felt like I was experiencing like enlightenment, but it was unbelievable. So I always wonder, like, what's that next thing? What is it going to
That's
be?
funny that you said that about enlightenment because that's the same example I just gave. That was the beginning of my spiritual awakening, and I feel like I was enlightened during that process.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even something that was like, oh, I'm going to start doing yoga. Oh, I'm going to start getting into essential oils. Oh, I'm going to start doing this. It was like one thing led to another, and it just happened.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to do it because you're not looking or forcing anything. It's just you're just doing
Right.
you. And when you're doing you, and
Yeah.
you don't have to justify it to anybody why you're doing this thing. It's just for you. We don't often get. I mean, you're a parent. You're a wife. You're obviously a busy person with a full plate as well. Life is quite an interesting ride, and we don't always have time to do that. Do what we want. And when you do get to
Yeah.
partake in it, it's like really just, especially as a creative or artistic person or both, man, it's just so satisfying. It's so wonderful. I got to read what Mom's saying on here. Actually, a few people. This is a good one. Dambria, I'll go with you first. She's saying, yes, same. I quit drinking and got into crystals, yoga, sound, and aromatherapy. So that's really cool. You guys have some stuff in common. Mom is on here saying, I don't like to be stagnant. Yes, we know. Mom also loves her projects. She says, I'm finding that as I'm getting older, I have to have more downtime at the end of the day. And so maybe that's a good little bit of information for us to know that, like, while we're here, why we have our abilities, why we have our youth, why we have whatever it is that you do have at whatever stage in your life, to really not just cherish them, but take up those offers of being able to engage in the things that just bring you that satisfaction. Because the truth is, we won't be here forever, and we might as well be here while we're here. We might as well be doing the things that bring us that joy. I mean, I don't think you can stay in that space forever. I think it's sometimes momentary, but that's what kind of makes it special. Let's see here. Okay, so I think I've gotten to the bottom of the responses, which is kind of cool. It usually doesn't happen. So thanks, guys. I'm doing my best to keep up. We're going to ask the next question. This one gets personal. This is a good one. Matter of fact, I have a good one too regarding this, but this is actually directed towards you, but I'm still going to respond after yours.
To me?
Yes, this is yours.
No, they're supposed to ask you the questions.
Yeah, but they're not. This is you. So Rashel, what's one good funny story that we should hear about your brother? Man.
Oh, see, I knew
no
this was
idea.
going to be a thing.
I assumed it was going to
Gosh.
be a thing.
Well, funny, funny, funny. Well, this one's not too funny. And I don't know if you told this story once before. When you answered the phone and you looked at me and you said, "Nope, she's not here."
Oh yeah.
And we were like in middle school, so phone calls were real important from the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yep.
you hung up. I was so mad. I chased you with a broomstick and was whacking you.
I'm pretty sure you were hitting me with the broomstick. I was like, I thought you were going to leave it at chasing.
We didn't
me. I was
have
like,
caller
"Oh."
ID then.
Yeah, you whipped me with a broomstick. No, that's very true. And I think that's when phones were still to the walls too. So that's a little bit of a time warp right there. That's pretty funny. I like that. One of my favorite ones. I have to bring this up because this is, when I read that, the first thing I thought of was this one memory that is absolutely one of my all-time favorites regarding me and you. This is the one that stands out the most. I'm actually excited to bring it up. Before I bring it up, what do you think, Rochelle? It might be. It's a it's an experience we had together that I think is fucking hilarious now, but you did not think it was funny. Can you think of
No.
anything? Okay, we lived in the
don't
cabin.
Okay.
We were going to school. We walked down the
Yes.
hill.
Oh, yes.
This is so good.
I remember.
I was actually excited to
Oh,
be
I
able to bring this
remember.
up.
And I'll tell the story.
She's getting mad at me. You guys see this face right now? She's actually getting mad at me right now.
So we lived in a cabin.
Here we go. That actually words you said. We lived in a cabin. Okay, let's go.
We lived in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. I mean, literally, it was a cabin on top of a hill, and there was all these little homes going down the hill, but they were all abandoned. Nobody lived in them. It used to be what were not settlers, but the people coming through would stay in.
Very
Anyway,
rustic stuff.
yeah, very rundown little houses that we had a lot of fun, playing around in. But
Mom knows too, by
so
the way. She
needless to
says, "Oh, the
say,
bus." Mom's saying, "Oh, the bus."
oh,
So she knows.
oh yeah. So we didn't want to miss school because that was like the only human interaction besides our family that we would have because there was nobody nearby. And I think I was in the fourth grade. Josh is running down the hill, running. I'm trying to run too to catch the bus, and he gets on the bus and he tells the bus driver, "She's not coming to school," and the bus just goes.
And Rochelle, I remember looking over. This is my favorite part. I looked over and I see you. I swear, I was like, I see this. This is what I saw. I saw that in your face. And I was like, oh, dear, I'm glad I'm going this way right now. Because I saw you were so mad. And you were so... I think you were already crying, to be honest, if I remember
I'm
right.
sure I was crying.
Your face
Yeah.
looked like you would have ripped my face off had you got a hold of me. But yeah, it's great. I just got on the bus really quick because I just started running, if I remember right. I just started running and didn't say anything to you because I saw the bus coming. I got on. I just quickly was like, yeah, my sister's not coming. You can go. Total asshole. Total asshole.
See, so the broomstick thing wasn't that bad. He deserved it.
Yeah, because this was before
Of course, that was years later.
Yeah, this is before the broomstick. So she waited to beat me. Waited. Well,
Oh,
yeah.
Grease and Home Alone movies. He does know the story.
He knows. He knows
Or
because
that
was
time.
that's when me and Caleb hung out a lot. So Ian knows the Grease and
Yeah.
Home Alone movies because that's the only two movies we had for. We lived
Yeah,
in the
we
middle of
didn't
nowhere.
have cable.
We had nothing.
We were
barely had a TV.
we were woodsy people.
We were 100%. But that story just makes me happy because I love you so dearly, and to see your face so angry, I'll probably never get to see that again. So I cherish it forever.
Yeah.
I love that Mom's saying, "I remember." That's great. That's pretty cool. She
Uh,
does remember. She remembers because she was pissed because now she has to take you to school, and it's an hour. It's over an hour drive.
I don't think she took. No, I don't think she had a car then.
So maybe
I
'cause
think
she
David
couldn't take
only.
it. So
Yeah.
there were times. I just remember there was times where Mom had to come get me because I'd get kicked out of class, and she would be so pissed. So finally, she was like, "No, I'm not coming to get him. He has to stay there till school's out. He can ride the bus home, and then he can not show up tomorrow." But I would just sit and sit and sit because it was a long drive. That was a far drive to get to school.
Yeah, BFE. It's far.
100%. Ian, I like Ian. He's awesome. He says this episode is gold. All right, we're gonna go to some of the next questions. These are gonna all be kind of similar to some degree, but this will bring up some shit. So from Instagram. Let's see. Ashley's asking, pettiest fight you both got into with each other, if any. If any.
I mean, we used to fight, but we never got mad at each other for long,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were the kids that were like, "I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not,"
Yeah.
But then we'd go build a fort in the backyard.
Yeah.
Or,
100%.
I'd hit him with a broomstick and then we'd go make soap.
Yeah.
Something.
I know. We'd just do something weird. And she means that we'd actually go make soap. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see. Okay. So she's saying the pettiest fight you both got into. I would say if there was a pettiest fight, it wasn't really fighting necessarily, but it was almost always over your friends because, I don't know, you would have adorable friends, and I would talk to them, and you would just be so irritated. And so I would say that's probably it. But we
Yeah.
didn't really necessarily fight over it. You would just be like, "Oh, leave my brother alone, please." But that was pretty
Yeah, and
much
then
it.
I'd be sitting on the couch with one of your friends. We'd be looking at each other like, no,
Yep. I
ain't
think.
happening.
Yep. I remember a few specifically of those friends. I remember. So the pettiest fight. I can't really. I wish I can give you something juicier. Ashley, but since you asked a question and participated, I'll give you something. One of the pettiest fights we got into, I would say it's not between us, but I've seen my sister beat the shit out of people before, and I'll never forget when we were in school. I just got to bring it up. I got to bring it up.
I was
We're in.
young.
We were young. We were in school. She said it all happened.
Dad
So
taught us, don't take bullshit.
yeah, no,
And
straight up.
she shoulder checked me, and I
Yep.
was in the 7th grade, and she was in the 8th. So I couldn't let that happen.
Yep. So even though it wasn't petty between me and my sister, I just heard fight, fight, fight. Everybody does that. Fight, fight, fight. And I hear it's down the hall. I go to the I think it was the cafeteria or the gym. It was in the gym. And
It was
I go
in the
around.
gym.
Yeah, I go around the corner. Everybody's in front of the doors. I want to see what's going on. I'm like, fighting? That's cool. I look and I just see my sister on top of this chick just pounding her, face bloody. Rochelle's just pissed. I think the
I
girl had
don't
your hair.
condone this
No.
behavior.
We were children. Ish.
Yeah,
But I think she had your hair and wouldn't let go. So you're like, fuck it, I'm just
probably.
going to pound your face in. And you just, yeah, this poor bloodied chick. And I just remember thinking, oh, it's my sister, and thought, she's got this. And I'd literally just walked off. I was like, cool.
Oh
I was
no,
beating the
you
shit.
were in the bleachers saying, "That's my sister."
Oh, I remember. Yeah, because I was trying to see. I was trying to look. And I'm like, yep, there she is. That's right. And everybody's like, what? And I was like, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to interrupt her at all. She's got this. So this is great.
Gosh, I got suspended.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. That girl was not in good shape.
Which, by the way, Mom it was like she was going to throw me a party the first time I got my name on the board, because I was Little Miss Goody Two Shoe and Little Miss always trying to be perfect in elementary school. So, we had it coming. Once you get your name on the board, it's like downhill
Yeah,
from there.
that's
I mean,
true.
that's what I'm saying.
Ian's actually relating to us too, because he's saying he lives so rural that him and his sister would get into similar situations, which now has caused them to be best friends. So I think that's what it is too. I mean, we didn't have much else, so that's it right there.
Yeah.
That's just how it went. Let's see here. So next one is pretty interesting. If you've watched my episodes at all, Burr Hill. BR Hill is always asking us questions, and they're never questions or statements. BR Hill is saying, who's that pretty girl? I don't know who he's talking about. So let's move on to the next
Must be
question.
talking about you. Is there
Yeah,
something you
see?
need to tell us?
Yeah, who's that pretty girl? I'm like, well, okay. So now he knows who that is if he's watching. And since we're talking about pretty girls, I might as well just take this time to say, Linda, if you're watching, if you're out there anywhere, Linda, wherever you are out there in this cruel world, in this darkness, here I am just thinking about you. You're my favorite. I say hi to you every episode. I'll never quit. And you never believe that you're my
It's my
favorite.
favorite part.
But now I've proved it. Linda, you're, oh. This is exciting for me because I actually have an appointment with said Linda. Let me find out when this is. And she'll be coming very soon. I can't see it I have so many things on my schedule. I won't be able to pinpoint it, but it's very soon. And I'm actually going to try my best to get her to do a live with me. So you guys will find out that Linda's actually real. People ask all the time, is Linda even real?
Nice.
I'm like, yeah. Linda's
But you
real.
still have to do your Linda segment when she's on.
Oh, I'm never gonna. Yeah, every single episode, she's my favorite. She doesn't believe me, and I'll prove it to the ends of the earth. Okay, so let's go to the next one. This is good. Okay, this is interesting. This is, I believe, Instagram. What's the most precarious situation you guys got yourself into as children? That's funny. I could think of something real quick.
I mean,
Go ahead. But
uh,
I think
we used to climb a lot of trees, right? And so that was interesting. That's not that interesting.
no,
Although you did make a fort one time and made the little step too high for me to get on.
yeah, I kept her
That
out of
was
my
rude.
fort by making it way too hard for her to get into. I made the steps like
I
so
was so
far
mad.
apart. Yeah, she's not. And I remember you sitting to the base of the tree with my cat Ben, and I was just like, can't get up here. Do you remember? You know what you should do? You should tell him. I'm going to read some of these comments real quick, make sure we're not missing anything. But you should tell him about
Okay.
the mudslides that we would make.
Oh yeah, those were
That's
cool.
And that was in the
Well,
cabin. We lived in the
we
cabin
were,
then.
yeah, we were woodsy folk, I tell you.
That's true.
We would slide down the mud hills on, well, first our shoes, but then we realized how bad that was, so we went and got cardboard, and that was really fun.
That
Those were
was a
good
lot.
times. We
I
should do that
actually,
again. We should
I
do
love that.
that.
Just cardboard
We
boxes
should definitely.
made into sleds sliding down muddy hills in the forest. That's like the
Yeah.
coolest thing ever. When that question was posed, what's the most precarious situation you guys got yourself into as children? I would, I mean, it's not really fitting necessarily, but the first thing I think of is when Dad would come home and you would hear his truck, because where we lived, it was like this huge hill. And then you'd have to go past our house basically behind it, and then turn down this really sharp corner and come really just steep down this hill. And he had this old beat up loud truck. So he'd shift it down gear instead of braking, and you would just hear that thing from a mile away, just woo, and you knew Dad was coming home. And it was just funny because we would rush to the couch and sit just
You know why,
perfectly.
though? You know why we did that?
I have a,
Because Jennifer, she would always say, "Everybody act natural." And it's like,
she was
well,
so
what are we
scared.
doing?
I
What
know,
we
but
are we not being natural? Like
yeah,
what's
she's like,
going
just sit
on?
down.
So we'd sit there like,
Yeah,
okay,
like
is this
she was
natural?
scared, so we were, because she's always doing something
Yeah,
precarious, if
yeah,
you will. So that's the first thing that came
yeah.
to mind is Jennifer would always, yeah, she was terrified. And then we would all sit down and be like, oh my God, what did we do? What's he going to find out? What did you do? She burnt the bed down. That's what she did. Okay. Let's get to, I'm trying to make sure I don't miss any of these. Like I said, I like that Ian's also agreeing that, people thought his sister was hot and that made it very tough for him. I can imagine. I've had similar scenarios that I had to, you know, I had lots of also friends where I'm like, don't even fucking think about it. So I totally get it. Let's see here. I want to find some of this. Catch this reply. Amanda says, I will so catch this replay. Sis is hot. That's Amanda Lastly. Amanda's awesome. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, we're getting spicy. Lenore's on here. As always, Lenore is on here, and she is saying, hello, sexy. And I don't know if she's talking about you or me, and I will just say it's both, so that's great. Let's go. She didn't bother you again. Okay, so let's get to another one of the questions real quick. This one is also from
Oh,
Instagram.
but she didn't bother you again. Is that the fight that I got in? Because no,
Uh,
she did not bother me
oh,
again.
most likely. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably very true. Never again. Next question that's asked on Instagram is, was Josh a pleasant child or terror?
Not a terror at all. Honestly, pleasant, best brother, best son, always willing to do for others, always making sure you were okay, always giving our mom a goodbye kiss, always making things for other people, always drawing pictures for people. He, like I said, we didn't have much growing up, but he built me a dollhouse out of
Oh, yeah.
cardboard
That was
because I
badass.
wanted a dollhouse so bad, and it was the coolest thing ever. I wish I still had it. It was so cool. So things like that, like he was not a terror at all. But actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
class clown, yes, class clown, jokester, funny guy, always trying to make people laugh, and sometimes it wasn't the right thing to do, but just totally great.
So definitely pleasant, not necessarily a terror. But yeah,
He
I think that's
terrorized
cool.
a few times.
Yeah, I think there was maybe a couple of times, but I think for the most part, I was like,
Yeah.
I was definitely put in my place because I was surrounded by women, and then Dad coming into the picture and stepping up and raising a wonderful family and helping us out was great because we needed that figure. I especially needed that figure to be able to see how to treat ladies, and he definitely taught me that just by his actions, not his words. And so to be a terror would have been a really bad idea in Dad's household. Like, probably don't want to go down that route, especially if you don't want extra chores and to do it in the rain and the cold. And so I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it at school. I'll do it at school. I know they'll find out, but they won't really know. It's not like in their face. So I'm just going to do it at school. And yeah,
Uh,
so when she asked, was Josh pleasant child or terror? Some of my teachers would absolutely say I was a terror. So I'm
oh
just
yeah.
just being honest there, Mrs. Ringer, I'm so sorry for telling you I wouldn't give you sweat off my balls, but it was just such a good opportunity for me to drop that, pun intended, bomb. It was just such a good moment, and I had to do it. So anyway, I had to bring that up. Sorry, Miss Ringer.
That was the 5th grade, right?
Yeah, it was my last year in Guard Street, so I was like, yep, that's it, done.
I had Mr. Ringer in the
He was
4th
cool.
grade that year, and he would get so mad he would throw his chalk at the chalkboard and just like, and we're like,
I
so
liked
you
him.
know.
He was crazy. Mom is saying he was the sweetest little guy. Yeah. That's right.
Oh,
You guys hear that? That's right. Sweetest little guy. So now you know. Now it's not all just a facade. It's not me talking myself up. Okay. This is just a statement. This is not a question, but somebody said, this is actually, this is Kim. She said, can't wait for tonight's episode. Here's a good one. You two have an amazing bond. Is it hard being so far from one another? What a question. I'm going to let you answer that, sis.
yeah, no, it's super hard because when you think about the perspective of how many times you'll actually see each other in a year, and then you know, say that's in 10 years, that's not enough. That's 10 times in a year if you only see each other once a year. And so for two people who are so close mentally and emotionally, it's really hard, you know,
Yeah.
but this is the way that it is, and maybe it was meant to be that way in this lifetime, you know. But we make the best of it when we do see each other, so that's good.
I think it's definitely, since she's saying, is it hard being so far from one another? I would say yeah, for sure. But at the same time, I do think that there's so much truth to saying that absence makes the heart grow fonder. That doesn't mean abandon people.
Yeah,
Obviously, like we communicate often.
right.
I mean, these lives actually have been really great because mom's on here. Mom's on here now. Mom's on here now, throwing me right under the bus. She's saying all kinds of
Scarlett,
spicy
shut the door,
things.
baby.
So mom is always involved, and so is dad. And then Rochelle's on here often, not always as a caller, but this is actually really cool for me because it's not just a message; it's a live, actual. We are here at this hour,
Right.
interacting, and it is cool, even though it's digital. I mean, it's not a whole lot different than just seeing you. So I really like that. I mean, it is different, of course, but it's I think it's really cool to be able to have this communication because when I was younger, before any of this existed, it was a phone call, and like, man, there'd be a lot of times where I wouldn't hear or see or talk to you guys for quite some time, and it was like not strangers, but like so much would happen. It's like these big gaps where now I feel like we're
In our
more,
20s.
yeah, for sure. So now,
I feel like that happens with everybody that's in their 20s, you know, like Angelina and Savannah right now. Savannah's almost 18, Angelina's 19, and, you know, Derek's like, my kids don't want anything to do with me. It's like, dude, they're at that age where you're probably not going to see them until they're 25, you know,
right.
because you kind of just do your thing, and family's family, yes, but honestly, it's all about friends, work, you know, finding yourself.
Finding your own
So
way,
that
yeah,
makes
that's for sure.
sense.
And I agree, and I think that, like, to this question, is it hard for us being so far from one another? Of course it is. I think anybody who loves their family and cares about the
I
people
would
close
just
to them,
annoy the hell out of you if we were closer because I'd want to be hanging out with you all the time.
it would be a totally different dynamic, no doubt. But I do think
Yeah.
I'll give a really kind of curveball response to this because I actually think it has a lot to do with who I am as a man today and the life I've created and the things I've been able to do. You know, I think there's a time in a man's life for sure that's important, and I had my feelers gauges were out early on when I was a teenager that this would be true, that it's time for me to go. There was this very clear, like, this is, you know what, and here's how I put it bluntly, and this pertains to this question: is it hard being so far? Of course it is, but I think here's why we're so far, and maybe you do or don't know this, Rochelle. Dad's home that he's made for us to be children in, to be raised into adults, productive, like he says, productive adults, as well as his home where he loves our mother and they raised our family, is theirs. And it doesn't, I never felt like I didn't belong, or it has nothing to do with that. It's everything to do with, like, I want one. I want to do that. And I want to do it my way. I want to do it like they did. And so my way of doing that was, and my way of doing it my way and not the way they did, was saying, okay, it's time to, essentially it's called flying, you know, flying the coop or whatever it is, leaving the
Flying the
nest.
coop.
Yeah. And that's what I did. And I found a lot of, man, that's when my life started. That's when my real life started. And I'm
So,
so thankful for that.
mom, dad, you succeeded.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I think we're supposed to do. And I knew
Yeah.
I had an inkling as a kid, and it turned into truth as I got older and experienced that that distance was so necessary because we are so close. Me and you are close. Me and mom. David. Everybody on here knows who my dad is, even though they've never met him. Regardless of him being on the lives or not, everybody knows a lot about him and how I feel. As a matter of fact, one of the questions in here, that was asked tonight. Actually, let's see if I can find that real quick. This was a good one. Somebody asked, "Who is your idol?" I'll get to this eventually, but I'm just saying for a demonstration. Somebody asked this last week. Who is your idol or inspiration other than your father? Like, this person obviously knows enough about
Knew that that would be your first
yeah,
response.
and I think that's wise because, I've kept that. Well, parents did their job. I went my own way, and I actually think it's allowed me to be the kind of person I am, so that I didn't have, because we're all so close, that I needed to be able to figure it out on my own. I call it going out into the desert. You got to go out in the desert, be stranded and lost and scared and alone, so that when you get back, you know that you're the kind of person they can rely on. That if somebody gets lost, scared in the desert or alone, that you're the kind of rock like Dad is to be able to navigate back to. So I think I knew that at a very young age. And I think it was because of his example, to be honest. So that's my response to it is yes, it comes with a price, but at the same time, I really don't think me and you, and even the rest of the family, I personally don't think we could be closer, even though we're so far apart.
Yeah.
Aw,
Right.
wasn't that so cute?
That's why I managed to stay single this whole time, you know?
Anyway, okay. Let's see if there's another one in here. Oh yeah, here we go. This is a good one. So we've kind of been going over this, but we have somebody on Instagram asking, what is the funniest story you can think of about your sister? The funniest story. I would like to say the bus incident. Gosh, maybe I can think of something else. You're probably running some things through your head, so you're like, don't say this. But the funniest story I can think of about your sister, the only thing I can think of is that she snorts when she laughs really hard. So people don't have to hear that, but that's pretty funny. And it doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it's all, like when you get her going, she just sounds like a chainsaw. So sorry, sis,
Okay.
but the funniest story you can think of about your sister, man, it's all funny to me, but in the moment it wasn't funny. Like it was torture, but can't really think of. You know what comes to mind? Remember that video we made? You were Princess Alibu.
Princess Alibu.
Instead of Princess Malibu, you were like 5, 6 or something like that. Like you were
7,
maybe, yeah, you were, because I was a skinny little twerp. I was like 2nd, 3rd grade.
8.
Yeah, I was.
You
it
were
was a long
8,
time ago.
maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Princess Alibu. Yeah.
Yeah. This gets creepy real quick, but
And you were the old
it
man.
wasn't. I was an old man. My sister was a princess, and my uncle had a camera. So this gets really weird, but it wasn't weird. I'm just
Not
saying it
weird
sounds
like
weird.
that.
No, but he had this camera, home camera.
We didn't have any
and-
weird uncles.
Nope. You had a wig. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I would
You
love to
had
see
a
that.
wig.
Did I?
You had the
I
old man wig.
I was an old man. It was awesome.
I think I was just the princess with my own hair.
But you were funny. That was funny. That's probably the most comical. When I think of you and your personality and who you are on the inside, even though you're a very calm, collected, Zen type person with crystals and yoga, no, you're always going to be Princess Alibu to me. 100%.
Totally.
Let's see. There's actually some pretty good stuff. This is good. I'm going to go here and read a couple of these things. First, throwing myself under the bus. Can't leave this out, even though this is about Rashel. Let's go ahead and go about me for a second. We were talking about some of the embarrassing stuff as kids, and then we started talking about teachers in class. And my mom's bringing up one of my proudest moments. She said, or when you pinch the teacher's butt. So I don't know if you know much about this story, sis, but this was Marimony.
Oh, yeah.
And we were standing in
Marimony.
alphabetical order. I wasn't a cool kid. I didn't have friends. This is before I had the blue eyes, the chiseled
Honey, you gotta
jawline,
stay over there.
and all the characteristics of a man. I was just a
Go
dorky
see
little kid.
Daddy.
And
Shut the door.
so she's saying, I pinched the teacher's butt, and here's why. There was 2 kids behind me that were the cool kids, and they kept saying, I dare you to do it. I dare you to do it. And the other kid would say, oh, I'll do it. And the other guy's like, no, you won't do it. I'll do it. So they were kind of bantering. And finally, the teacher walked past them, and it was a substitute, so she was calling all our names, doing a name check in alphabetical order. They called their names, they said it, and whatever, they never pinched her butt, even though they were all betting that they would. And when she got to me, I was like, you guys are pussies, man. Fuck. And by the way, I didn't pinch her butt. I as Ian says, I palmed that shit. So anyway, yeah, that was I did. And she didn't, the coolest part is she didn't flinch. There wasn't a flinch from that woman. She held that, she's probably happened to her before. So she held it together. We went into class. I'm sitting down thinking, maybe she likes me. Like I got away with it. Before you know it, a guy comes in with a note and says, you need to come with me to the office. My mom's there, picks me up. I get in trouble, kicked out. Anyway, that's my story.
I think you were in the third grade.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was definitely very young, because I think we left there around third grade.
I think you were in the second grade. I was in the third grade when we left there.
Yep. I love this.
Yeah.
Mom's even saying it was her first time having to meet with the principal. Welcome to having a son. That's awesome. And you know what? My son has never done anything half that bad, so I think we've learned from our lessons. Okay, guys. Kim's actually even saying, she's like, that doesn't even surprise me at all that he pinched a teacher's butt. Like, it shouldn't surprise you. What do I look like? A coward? Ian's responses are really getting good. He said, shit, Josh, leave some room for the rest of us guys. We can't all be perfect. I think that's when we were talking about whether or not I was pleasant or terror. And then he also said, and this is pretty cool, because I knew me and him, we had a good connection right away. We were just very similar people, me and Ian. He said, this episode is tripping me out, considering how similar our lives were growing up, small towns, remote areas, interacting with just our families. That's probably why me and him understand each other and get along. So that's really cool. Oh, here we go. This is some, it's weird too with families. I'm going to read Mom's response, but it's really weird because we're all having our individual experiences, right? I can't have your experience. You can't have my experience. I can't have Mom's, and we're all experiencing it so individually. Yet, that's right. That's kind of what gives us our bond. Is our individual experiences make up the family. And Mom is saying this right here. It's very interesting. David helped me through the process of you all leaving home. I really didn't handle it well emotionally. And to be honest with you, I don't think, as much as we love our mother, obviously, I don't think we can understand at all what that means until we go through it. And now that
I don't never want Scarlett to move.
Yeah. So until that, like when I left, I was like, whatever, Mom's going to miss me, but see ya. I'm going to California, and got my Jeep and left. But it's interesting because it's really weird now that I'm older. Isabel wants to go to college. Kids are growing up. They're doing their own thing. Don't even seem as much as I used to, although we're still very close. There's going to be that day, like Isabel's been talking about, even going to college out of state. Actually, she just mentioned going to Oregon, so that would be really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I like that.
She said there's an environmental program there that she wanted to do, I think in University of Oregon. So anyway,
nice.
Now it hits me that when I was 19, leaving the house going, see ya, Mom, and she was sad, but I was like, I'm going on an adventure. I'm having fun. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm an adult going, oh, Mom was home going through this. And I literally, I hate to admit it, but had no care in the world about it. Like, I was 19. What do I know?
That's what I'm saying. Through those ages, it's like, don't even take things personally when kids are that age and they're, mid-20s even. It's like,
yeah,
you just do your thing.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. But it is really wonderful, too, how Mom and Dad handle it, because I think they've just absolutely held down for it so well. It's very impressive. And Mom, I've always loved you. I didn't leave you because of any reason other than it was time for a man to spread his wings. Okay. All right, here we go here. Ashley saying, Susan, I have all boys, and I don't think I'm ever going to be ready for that. I don't know. I don't know if most people do this, but I honestly think it's important. I think it's so important and again, I hope this doesn't sound offensive, especially to Mom, because I don't mean it to be, but I think it's so important for a young man to absolutely be separated from the place where he was a boy, so that he can then discover himself.
Become a man, yeah.
I think I see people who don't do that. I see men growing up who haven't done that. They're still very much under the wing, whether they know it or not. They think that living on their own is going out the coop, but they live like a mile away and never have had more than a week or two's distance between their parents. And I just don't think that's a good thing. Typically, I've never
what
really
I think
seen
helped?
That was a pain in the ass.
What? That you were a pain in the ass?
That helps. She was like, oh, phew. Learning
No,
principles.
what helped was that our parents didn't do things for us that we could do for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do our laundry. Granted, grandma did my laundry, and I was okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I mean? Like you take care of yourself. The roof is over your head. You got clothes on your back. You got food on the table. You got love in the heart, and anything else, you better figure it out, you
Yeah.
know?
That
And so
that
once you become of age, it's like, okay, well, I can figure this out. I'm not scared.
right.
Whereas maybe if you do coddle and you do everything for your kids, that maybe when it comes time for them to go, they don't go because they don't know how to go,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Absolutely. And that's really hard today. Again, because well, everybody's familiar with that to a degree in terms of raising kids now. It's things are just so dynamically different. It was very rare to be able to be babysat by TV because things ended and you couldn't watch it again, so there was time to go do other things. We didn't have constant bombardment of distractions. Matter of fact,
Hmm.
your distractions came from sheer boredom, staring at the ceiling, wondering like, God, let's do something. Let's build some cardboard
Yeah.
box sleds and go down a muddy hill in the mountains. But I do agree. And, I 100% adopt the philosophy from something I learned from, this is really cool. I think this is so badass. Something I learned from our parents is that there's a day as an individual, there's a day that comes where there's a quote that stands out to you and you think that's the first time you've heard it, or maybe you thought you've heard it before, but this is the first time it hits. Well, the reason it hits is because of the conditioning your parents gave you first. That's the only reason it's
Hmm.
resonating. At least to a high level, most things are resonating with you because of the foundation that's been built by your parents. And I think it's so fascinating that, parents will do this often where they'll say, gosh, my whole life I told my son or my daughter this thing, but then their friends go and say it and they adopt it like gospel. And then I remind those
Hmm.
parents, I remind them, it's like saying my kid was, let's say, for example, in a scenario, my kid was, he was struggling to swim. He was drowning potentially. And I kept throwing him a floaty and he didn't see it. But then somebody else threw him a floaty. He saw it and he grabbed it. Would you be mad about that? No, you're just happy that they made it. As a parent,
Hmm.
the reason why things resonate, like for me, my philosophy about parenting is really simple. Never do for them the things that they can do for themselves, whatever that is at any level. If they're 3 and can make a sandwich, you should literally let them make their own damn sandwich. They can handle this. Most parents don't. They just don't think that. They think they're still incapable. But the reason these things like that philosophy that you never do anything for your kids that they could do for themselves, that that philosophy is there because that's how our parents treated us. They made sure that we were able to work hard and take care of things. I'm not saying by any means that any of us were necessarily perfect and like perfect children necessarily, but that lesson's super important because that absolutely translates into real life. And I think that's what a gift. Imagine not having that. I don't know. I don't know how you'd function in this world. Well, I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
scary.
I
Scary
don't
to
know.
think of being that kind of person. Um,
Hmm.
okay, let me see some of this stuff here. Again, guys, I try my best to get to the comments. I don't always get to them all. This is a good one. I'm going to read this one real quick. I don't mean that disrespectfully. Good one. This is an important one I should bring up. That Lenore saying, "Oh, so nice to think. I'll call my brother tomorrow and light a candle for my other one." So Lenore, thanks for sharing that with
Oh,
us. Um, and it sounds like you are very close with your family and obviously have a very deep love for them. So that in itself is a wonderful thing. Um, Lenore saying, "Can I be your teacher?" Yes. Okay. Anyway, getting spicy. Let's see here. There's a lot, actually. There's a lot of missed. I apologize, guys. Mom is on here saying some people manipulate their children not to leave the home to satisfy their own desires to keep them close. Fucking nailed it. 100%. That is. Yes. That's so cheesy to play that. I get it. That's why I like it, guys. So just suffer with me. My favorite sound
I
effects.
love it.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So, 100% true, and I've seen it, and it's literally, to me, it looks like evil. It's disgusting. I've seen parents literally, I've heard a parent say, I know that I'm making my kids weaker, but I don't want them to leave me. I've literally heard mothers say this about, I'm not saying mothers do this. I'm saying I've heard a mother say this before, word for word, and I've heard other mothers throughout the years express that same thing. That is terrible. That is so
That's
terrible. So
sad.
Gosh, yeah, that's scary. It's
Well,
like, oh,
manipulation in any form is
hmm
sad and dangerous,
yeah, to
but
serve. It's very
that's
dangerous,
real
always
sad.
dangerous, for sure. So anyway, Mom, again, just thank you. I'll never quit saying that. So,
Thank you for not being one of those moms, mommy.
mhm. Yes, thanks for being a
Mommy
mom.
dearest.
Thanks for being a mom, not a friend first.
Yeah.
A mom first.
Thanks for being a mom, not a mommy dearest, I should have said.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Um, Here we go. Ian is chiming in with saying, "I had to be a man at a young age due to my having addicted addicts. Sorry, do I get hard for me to read those things sometimes worded that way. I had to be a man at a young age due to my having addicts for parents. I tried, uh, but being the man in my younger sister's life and seeing how far she's come makes up for that. So
Mm.
that's it is wonderful, Ian, that you've become that man because you are an awesome dude. It sounds like you and your sister are close, so that's really really cool to have each other because that's I would imagine that if I didn't have my parents on the parent side, that we do have, me and Rochelle probably would actually need to be even a little bit closer than we are now. I mean, physically closer, like there for each other in that sense. Um, let's see here. Dambria is also chiming in, um, and she's saying they need to leave to grow and learn, and I totally agree. I mean, she said more than that, but that's absolutely true. I just don't think you could do it at home. I think the home is so that the family can raise boys to eventually prepare them so that they can become men, and they don't become men at home. That's just not. I don't think that's how it works. It definitely doesn't how it worked in my life.
They get prepared at home, but then they have to actually go and be men,
100%.
right?
I think of it.
And women and us too, It's like and there's some people that do stay along a while, longer than what we did. We definitely didn't stay very long. But everybody on their own time and terms too. But yeah, I think it's important, maybe
I totally
especially
agree.
for men.
Yeah, I think it's more true for men. Here's why. And I know people, of course, in today's world, they get so quick to say sexist or all these words that are, negative towards any sort of outlook that separates the differences between men and women. Like if you highlight differences between men and women, that's not the world I grew up in, but it seems like the one today. So I'm not apologizing for this. I'm just saying it's interesting that stuff like this gets put into the category typically has a tendency to go into categories of being on the edge of like sexism, which is that men and women are not the same. We're not only not the same, but their differences, what make us different, should be celebrated. And I think one of the biggest
Right.
differences between parenting young boys and young girls is that I think you should make your boys tough. I think you should make them strong. I think you should make them capable and able. You should they should be developing whatever characteristics they need so that eventually they could acquire really special skills physically and emotionally. I think boys are supposed to grow up with getting bruises and cuts and nicks and injuries. I'm not saying obviously, abuse your child. I'm saying that we do dangerous things as boys. A mom's job is to keep us not from not killing ourselves, but a dad's job is to keep us right in that happy medium of like, okay, it's okay if his hands hurt while cleaning car parts in the cold weather. Like it's not going to kill him. He's not going to lose a finger. He's going to be fine. And mom says, well, it's getting kind of late. And dad's like, he's fine. He's almost done. That's what you need. I think the difference between a young boy and a young girl is, especially at the age of maybe flying the nest or leaving the nest, is that you don't want the young girl to be beat up and battered and bruised physically from hard labor. Although you want her to be able to work and have that ethic and be capable and still skilled, it's not in the same way. You want her to be conditioned in a way that she'll grow up and find a man who's going to provide that comfort for her in her life. I think it's really simple, in my opinion. People, maybe even you, sis, have some of your own thoughts about this, but I think a man should be masculine, which is tough and able and provide and protect and capable and skilled. And I think a woman should be feminine and soft and pretty and nice and kind and loving and tender and caring, because we have to have both in the family to have all that's available. And that's just how I believe it. And that's how I see mom and dad being raised, or mom and dad raising us is, he made damn sure I knew how to swing a hammer and like not a bitch when it came to stacking firewood in the cold weather. It's like, so what? Some parents are like, no, I'll do it. It's okay. You stay inside. So what do you think about that, sis?
I mean, I also think that male and female, it's masculine. What is it? So there's masculine and feminine, right?
Hmm.
We each have those traits. We
True.
I have a masculine side and a feminine side, but for me, I'm more feminine, whereas men also have both, right? So it's just a good balance, but men's bodies are built to be the stronger, hardworking. That's from, day one. And the
Yeah.
women were there to be the more of the guider. Like I'm gonna tell you where to go get the food. You're gonna go get the food,
Hmm.
you
Do the
know.
work,
So
do the
it's
hard
just
work, the scary
it
things.
yeah, but we will be the the core, where you come back to, and
Right.
the strength, I guess, So we're strong in different ways.
Completely true. That's why I don't like the rhetoric of anybody saying I don't need a man, because you never. By the way, just to stick up for men a little here,
Nobody
uh,
needs anybody.
right?
I
Well,
mean,
it. So this is
it's
where I get.
dicey.
Yeah,
It's dicey.
this is where it
This
gets a little.
conversation's dicey.
Yeah, it gets semantic in the sense that we all need each other. None of us would be out here without each other. None of us, not a single one of us, would be here without a man or a woman. It's impossible. It's physically, literally God's design. It's cosmos and the universe's design is that we have to have these things. And I think in today's world that we can alienate ourselves from is so easy to do in today's modern world that we forget that the masculine and the feminine should be celebrated. I think it's safe to say in both male and female, but understanding what that means, like, for example, scientifically speaking, women have more, this is crazy, they have more testosterone in their bodies than they do estrogen. This is weird to me because when I learned this, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But men have and men also have estrogen, but infinitely more testosterone in comparison to how much women have. So we're all capable of similar-ish things, but then we also have the things we shine in, and that what some people are scared to say that are our roles. And I think it's absolutely true. My favorite metaphor to describe this is really simple. I think a man builds a home, builds a house. The man builds the structure, and the woman makes it a home. And I think that
Home,
that's
yeah.
exactly how we are as humans. And I love that. And I celebrate it. I have no problem saying that that's what I want. I don't want to go inside and like sit on concrete benches and, eat like top of ramen or just beef every day. Although I love beef, but I wanted some TLC put into it. That would be nice. Something that's a little more caring, a little more thoughtful. That's wonderful. Us dudes aren't really like that. If my buddy's sick, I'm like, yeah, man, take a shot of whiskey. That'll clear it up. And then the woman's like, hey, maybe you should also have some water and take this and sit down. Let me check your temperature. No, my buddies don't check my temperature. Like, it's not a thing. So we just have our own situations. And I think we are absolutely just as important as each other. I've never believed that one's necessarily greater than the other.
Yeah, one's not more
entirely.
superior.
No, but we definitely have our things and our strengths that can be very clear and to some people very unclear. But I love that. I celebrate it. So I'm thankful for it. And I know how some people get about that, but I really don't care because I have wonderful children. I have kids who love me to death, who are very, very caring, thoughtful, like how you described to me as a kid. I literally was just thinking about Evan. He is just such a wonderful guy, and Isabel's, I can't say enough about her. I don't think
They're
she
both
belongs to me.
amazing.
Like she's a genius.
She's a genius. She's a nurturer. She's calm,
Yeah.
cool, collected. But also spunky, and she's kind of like me,
Yeah, she is.
like when
She
I was a
is
kid.
very much. And it's just
Oh,
wonderful because, all my philosophies that I'm preaching aren't things I'm doing because I've read them in a book. I'm saying them because I've learned them. I've been taught them. I've, been raised with them, but then also apply them and see that they work. So I know people disagree, but if you want wonderful children, if you want your kids to love you, if you want to love your kids, there are some fundamentals that I think are pretty simple. We've highlighted some of them. Expecting men and women to be equals in terms of our abilities, I think, is silly. Equals in terms of our importance is totally fine. I think Mom's saying it, let's celebrate our differences. I think it's seriously one of the most wonderful things, and then making sure that you're not doing for your kids anything they could do for their damn selves. Like, the more you could get to that exact inflection point of making sure you're not doing anything they could do for themselves, you are absolutely doing them a service. Any chance you get to do something for them that they could do for themselves is the moment in which you are robbing them of an opportunity to actually learn real life skills. So that's my Dr. Phil moment right there. Pretty good. I'd give myself a clap, but it might be a little chilly or cheesy. Chilly. I'm gonna give Rashel actually. Actually, you know what's funny? I'm gonna play that again. Tell me this doesn't sound like you in the background. That sounds like you screaming like at a birthday party or something. That's
Kind of
funny.
sounds like me.
Let's see. I'd like to read this very last one before we sign off and say goodbye to everybody. Danbury says, I definitely need a man. I run my home by myself, but I pay men to come fix things, do yard work, etc. I could do those things, but I'd rather leave it to the men professionals. And I think that's absolutely true. I think it's wonderful. If there's one thing in society that I notice that's one of the most poisonous pieces of rhetoric and philosophy is that I'm a smart, independent woman and I don't need no man. Okay, fine. We could play that game all we want, but who wants to live in that world where there's like no men and no things being built and like I just celebrate it all, and I am surprised we live in a world where that's even something you have to say. It's so strange because it's so normal to us, but there is a lot of people that I feel like miss out because they I guess this conversation takes a turn. Differences, but not really, because it's my sister, right? It's my family we're talking about here, and I think it's wonderful that Dad has his place, Mom has her place where they both shine, right? Like, I'm not trying to be rude, Dad. I love you to death, but could you imagine him decorating the house and making it a home and making it? I just don't. He said it himself with the comment that what he put up earlier. I just think I'd rather eat dinner at Mom's table, and even though maybe Dad cooked it, but. Yeah, I think it's wonderful to celebrate our differences, even just as individuals, much less just,
Well,
men
we're
and
all
women.
so different, and the labeling thing that's going on in the last however many years is just, it's too much for me.
And it gets too confusing. It doesn't need to be. It's absolutely
Yeah.
useless.
I
You
just
are who
love
you are.
humans.
Hmm.
Be a good human and I will love you.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
force anything upon me.
Yep,
We're good.
exactly. And that's the other thing too, is we don't, it's not necessary for people to say, hey, this is who I am. Do you accept me? How about you just be you and do your
Accept
best?
you, accept yourself,
Yeah,
and
that's what matters.
I accept myself, and we can all be ourselves.
So,
Yeah.
Rochelle, out of this whole live tonight, which has been the last hour and 45 minutes, and it easily feels like an hour or 30 minutes to me, um, what could you say that throughout these lives, you've been watching quite a few of them, almost all of them, it seems like you were on, at least
I
recently.
think I've missed one
Hmm.
because I think I was working or something.
What is the thing during these lives that stands out the most to you? Um, you as an individual, like what, obviously you're my sister, um, so it might be different than everybody else, but what is it about these lives that stands out to you that you enjoy, or that seems to be like right at the front of the experience maybe people are having here, or you yourself?
I mean, of course, obviously, I like seeing you every week, and it's like you said, it's a good way to kind of all be together, um, without being physically together. Granted, I would prefer, trust me, I'm not into the metaverse or anything, um, but I really like, well, I've always liked your philosophy.
Hmm.
You're a deep thinker. You don't do small talk, and small talk always leads to deep shit, and that's what I love. So I just wait for that spicy deep shit.
Yeah. uh, that's cool that you say that, because that's why I like to do this the most. That's the thing that I enjoy the most about doing this, is like getting into these moments. Like, I knew it would happen with you just because in general, and even if Mom's here, it's going to be fun. And it's a really, I can actually say on my end, it's clear to me when I go into that zone, right, of being able to express and say, like, growing up, it was always important to me to expose myself to different types of art because I'm an artist. And so I would like art, and then I would go look at the artists closely and read about them, read their bio, or eventually YouTube came around, so I'd watch their interviews, and then I'd find there's things about them I don't agree with and don't like, but that didn't change how I experienced their art. So what I started noticing is this is totally cool that we all have different outlooks, we all have disagree, but in the end, I think fundamentally most of us, if we really looked, were pretty much the fucking same. Like, you want to be left alone when it's your private life. You want to be able to have access to things that anybody else has access to if you've done the work to deserve them. You wanted to be treated fairly and justly in that sense. And people would just like, it's a trick question, but I ask this to people a lot. Would you trade all your experiences with the people you love for all the money and power and possessions in the world? would you trade all your memories with all the, even you can think of one memory you would not give up for everything in the world. One specific
Yeah,
memory in one moment in time. Think how
that's
wonderful
not
that is.
the idea of life. Life
Exactly.
isn't just about money and things and, you know, I
And
mean,
it,
and like you were saying, we're all deep down the same. We are the same deep down. We're all living in our own world, in our own minds, in our own perspectives, our own outlooks, our own everything. Um, and so Derek just said something tonight that hit me. You know, things don't happen to us, even though we think that it did. You know, life is just happening, and our perception of what just happened, we are then taking it in as it happened to us, but it just happened.
mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I totally, yeah, I get exactly what you mean. And I believe that we are humans. We are the cosmos. We are God's creation.
Having a human experience.
Yep. We are the universe trapped in a human's body, limited to, but not completely by the human endeavors, the human genetics, the human limitations. I think there's a part of us, this gets really deep really quick. There's a part of us that is very much aware that we're a human. If you really think about who you are and what you are, and that you're having thoughts based off your memories and your past and, you know, your current, that's who you are entirely. But then you also have this inkling that there's a little more to it all. And whatever that is, I think is tapping into the fact that we are the beginning, the end, the cosmos, some people might take this wrong, but I think in a sense we are tapped into and part of the alpha, the omega, the universe, God, the cosmos. And I think that's why my philosophy is, or I should say my understanding of it is, I think that's why we look at the ocean and we just watch those waves come and crash, because we're mostly
Or the
made of water.
stars.
We look at the stars because that's our home. That's where we came from. And the stars took so long to get to a place to where we collect like a dust bunny in the universe, in our own little galaxy, in our own little solar system. And eventually this little planet with all the resources to devise something called a Joshua Ray Farmer, so that it can go, whoa, I'm here as a human now, not just a star, not just a piece of matter, not a stream, not a river, not a deer. Although those things got us here and we'll be back to them soon, we get to borrow this moment that's called a human and have this experience in a very conscious way. And I think that's one of the most wonderful things I've ever heard. So
Yeah.
celebrating our differences, I think in the end, we all agree to some extent, however you want to word those things, that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to have a really cool human experience. And
Yeah.
that's why I like these shows. That was a long-winded way of me saying to your response that's what I get out of it too.
I
That's exactly
agree.
it. So is there anything else you would like to say? I know there was some pretty dicey stories in there and some responses, but is there anything else you want to say before we sign off and let's say thank you to everybody for being on here?
Yeah, no, it was fun. We'll have to do it again. I know,
Absolutely.
maybe in person one day.
That would actually be really cool. Maybe one day that'll happen. So I'm gonna actually, since all of you guys are still here, and obviously Rochelle is let's see here some of the questions, but I want to get to them all. Rochelle is new to this. I don't think you've ever done a live or anything like this before. At least we haven't together. So thank you for obviously participating and doing such a good job. It was totally, I think everybody would agree, you're a natural. But I would like to make a exciting announcement. To me, it's exciting. So I would like to, because this is a live show. I'm in a tattoo shop. I just feel like it needs a name. I feel like it should be called something. It should be clear, like instead of just Q&A, like Q&A what? So I do have, obviously you guys are watching this from YouTube. So this is my YouTube channel. You guys obviously have access to it, and it will remain being called Joshua Ray Farmer, but I'm going to make the show segment called Artistic Freedom, because what you just said exactly illustrates why it's so important to me. There's art, there's the business aspect of things, there's the creative side of things, but then there's the life. Like, you don't have art without an artist, and an artist is a human who's had tons of life experiences. So you can't really, separate the two. And I like both. I like I call them the Dr. Phil moments, and then the literal moments of like, how do I get an appointment? How to schedule with you, or, whatever, just, are you single? Like those kind of questions are very human questions. It's all fun to have all that intermixed. So, yeah, I'm going to start calling it it's called Artistic Freedom. That's going to be the segment. Eventually, I'd like to make it an official podcast where it's actually being uploaded to the stream, so people can listen to it whether at work or driving, and it doesn't have to be while it's only live. So that'll be exciting. So it's going to be called Artistic Freedom. It'll be the live episodes, but then we'll also have different episodes and interviews and things like that, all here on this channel. So if you guys are watching this, you already know how to find it all. So yeah, you're welcome.
Cool.
That's what we're making. And Rashel will definitely have you back on. Guaranteed. We will have you back on.
Okay.
So
I might have different hair.
Yeah, well, that could happen. You know what? Ian probably
this is
wants
my
to see
hair.
one of your wigs, to be honest with you. He's brought it up a few times. Guys, if we didn't
Oh,
get to
did
all
he?
your... He did. If we didn't get to
I
all your
wish I could
comments...
see all the comments later. But you can't, huh?
No. That's what sucks about going live on this is that
Yeah.
the comments do disappear. I should make I wonder if I can do it. I'm going to find out if I can. I have 222 comments already. I want to see if I can save the comment stream. I mean, I could screenshot it, but that would be a lot. But yeah, you're right. So I don't think we'll be able to re-see them. But either way, we can take the moment now to thank everybody and thank everybody for being on here.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you,
It was
Rashel,
fun.
obviously, for being on here. We'll do it again sometime. You guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, I will remind you we'll be doing more stuff on here, especially with this show being very soon labeled officially as Artistic Freedom. Mom, obviously, I love you, and thanks for being on here. Dad, thanks for watching. Rashel, since you're actually on here, I don't have to thank you in the comment section. Thanks for being on here. Obviously, I love you guys dearly. The rest of you guys, customers, clients, friends, family, stalkers, weirdos, whoever is watching, who's ever watching now or later on, we appreciate you guys. This is a Q&A, so you can ask us anything. That's always true. We're going to keep that part of the show, and there's definitely more to come. So we appreciate you guys, and that's it. And we're going to be out. That was episode 41, and thank you, Rashel, for being on.
Woohoo!
All right. Good night, guys.
Bye.